Season of the Chosen is in full swing, with our main mission and activity involving Guardians facing off against Cabal on new battlegrounds, doing what we do best, conquering our enemies and claiming loot. But is there more to it? Why are the Cabal even here? Why are they challenging us? What are their motives? Welcome back, Guardians, to another Vanguard report. Kaz PhD here. Between battlegrounds and renewed resurgence of Hive and Taken activity in Souls dungeons, I have been busy, as I am sure you have been. Currently, two new areas of focus for Cabal activity are battlegrounds, which have opened recently on Nessus and Europa. If you're anything like me, you strode into battle without thinking, seeing an opportunity for fun and loot. But once the dust settled, and once we heard back from Commanders Zavala, Osiris, and Lord Saladin, what is this activity all about? When I first arrived at the newly sanctioned Helm, Osiris had a message for me. Impressive work, Guardian. You'll get a full briefing soon, but in the meantime, let me fill you in on that Cabal artifact you picked up on Nessus. It's known as the Bell of Conquests. I've attached a reading with more details, but in short, by claiming that bell, you've officially declared yourself challenger to the Cabal Empire. Kaitl's commanders won't stop coming for you until they see you buried and the bell retrieved. You made a bold move, but I believe we can use it to our advantage. We'll talk more soon. Osiris. Studying the bell more closely, I could not help but admire the craftsmanship, the artistry behind the piece. Just like much of humanity's history, the Cabal encourage and practice a blending of art and war, with much of the race's most beautiful works being the result of, or a symbol for, gruesome destruction. The bell reminded me a little of Calus's Leviathan. After consulting some archives and some of Ikora's hidden, who have spent time studying the inner chambers of the former Emperor's war city, I learned more about this bell. This style of Cabal war bell, known as the Bell of Conquests, is a standout example of the traditional combat artistry known as Skal Sangus, literally blood etching, popular during the era of lead, before the Cabal extended their reach beyond their immediate star system. These objects commemorated martial feats and personal victories, but varied widely in appearance. Peasant mercenaries often simply stitched the carved teeth of their defeated foes into their leathers. Those with more resources sometimes claimed the entire torso of vanquished opponents to preserve, lacquer, and display as busts. The Bell of Conquests was a less grisly chronicle of the victories of its owner. Unadorned bells were given to warriors at their first blood. Those who wished to challenge a warrior in combat would request their bell and ring it 7 times. As warriors collected victories, they would have artisans decorate their bells to commemorate their glories. These adornments allowed the bearers to call upon benefits for honorable combat related to their past victories. A warrior who had completed the trial of beasts could bring a trained war beast into a duel. A survivor of the flayed knight was allowed to cut their opponent twice across the stomach. Those who had withstood the cold iron mouth could coat their blades in caustic white ash. Defeating the bearer of a war bell entitled the victor to claim the bell as their own. The clapper of the bell would be carved with a shallow engraving, representing the previous owner's cause of death. Ownership would fully transfer after the engraving had been worn away by new challengers ringing the bell. At that point, all the privileges the bell bestowed upon its former owner would be granted to the new holder. For this reason, elaborate war bells were both highly sought after and highly defended. War bells continued to be carried into the galactic colonial period, and their decorations became even more refined. Intricate mosaics pressed with precious gems became symbols of wealth and granted further allowances in duels, while also creating a larger incentive for would-be challengers. As the scale of warfare increased, the logistical difficulties of claiming war bells became apparent. Captured war bells were sometimes melted down en masse and recast as elaborate war gongs, and there were specific rituals in place for spacefaring rivals to ring the gong in challenge. In the post-Red War Cabal, few soldiers adhere to the tradition, as the Bell of Conquests is seen as a cumbersome relic. Nevertheless, they may still find a place of honor aboard the ships of those who wish to respect the combat traditions of their ancestors. This is a truly fascinating glimpse into Cabal society. When we look at a society from the outside, it is easy to put simple labels on them. The Cabal have always been known to be warlike. But why? The Bell provides some insight. While I am not an anthropologist, I have seen this kind of warrior culture behavior before. The Cabal share much in common with pre-Golden Age cultures on Earth, and some of the more warlike races we have encountered since. The Cabal take war very seriously, and you can see that here. The bell is more than an ornate item. It is a status symbol. But it is also more than that. It is an acknowledgement of respect among warriors, respect for the past, and a great mark of honor in their culture. The Cabal treat war not like wild animals, but as the way of life. Battle, fighting, striving to be better, respecting your betters and your elders. Are we so different? Of course, there is a certain macabre bravado associated with an item decorated with your bloody victories. But most Guardians cannot claim this is so different. Most Guardians I know have a vault or treasure trove or ship somewhere filled to the brim with weaponry. Weaponry that was both earned and used against our enemies. And while there is reason to swell with pride over one's victories, this is not chess. This is life and death. But trophies remain all the same. What I found particularly interesting about the Bell of Conquests is the escalation and respect for one's warring past. The fact that certain adornments marking certain battles won would allow the owner of the bell to bring certain benefits to battle is a really unique and intriguing part of the Cabal warrior culture. A warrior who had completed the Trial of Beasts could bring a trained war beast into a duel. It goes to show you how evolved and constant war and battle are for the Cabal, that they take fighting past a brutal necessity and have created protocol and etiquette around it. The fact that warriors can bring certain advantages to battle based on their past, and that it was honored by their opponents, is a neat insight into the mind of this warrior culture. Similarly, another place where this kind of thinking arises is in Cabal gold. First seen among the Leviathan, Guardians have been finding a lot of it on these new Cabal battlegrounds. Kayatel's emissaries flood Sol with ceremonial gold, a custom during the era of conquest. Conquered worlds are enriched to ease defeat and afford the opportunity to challenge officers for representation within the Cabal's leadership. Here, we see battle and conquest being written into not only the everyday life of the Cabal, but even of those subjugated by the Empire. This ceremonial gold would be offered to newly defeated worlds and people, to not only make reparations, but also allow new challengers to rise. This is brilliantly manipulative. By offering gold and reparations, the Cabal not only strengthen those they defeat, to thus empower the Empire even further, but there is even a kind of Stockholm Syndrome in place. For those unfamiliar, I just mean that this practice can create a kind of vision of protector or defender or helper of the people between the Empire and the subjugated, which helps the assimilation process. Callus himself even believed himself to be loved and adored by his people. When he conquered a world, he would claim one of their best as his personal champion, his shadow, and he believed that he was strengthening the very people he defeated as a result. Why is this important? Well, besides it being an interesting insight into the history of the Cabal people, it may also be the key to our path forward. Empress Kayatel came to our system to gather her armies, her strength, and she wanted to make a deal with us. In one way, she is not wrong. The Hive and the Darkness are working together, and it will take more strength than any one of us has to survive them. However, we cannot and should not, of course, allow ourselves to become part of the Cabal Empire. A seat on her war council and our seeming autonomy is not enough. Partnership, sure, but enslavement? No. But the Bell of Conquests and the Cabal Gold give us a better understanding of the Cabal and their way of thinking. Kayatel's battlegrounds are a call to arms, yes, but also a call to ancient rules of honor. There is a chance that we can use this, sending Guardians in to not only disrupt Cabal leadership and forces, but prove our worth, prove we are strong and honorable. If we play this right, we could convince the Empress and the rest of the Cabal that we are not worth fighting. Not only because we are incredibly strong warriors who would probably decimate her empire if let off the chain, but if we can prove to them that we understand their system, we can use that system to allow the Cabal to see us as equals. While every Guardian feels the itch to fight, we have to admit that our people cannot stand another war with the Cabal. That is why, while they disagreed over an alliance, this Battle of 1,000 Cuts, as Lord Saladin puts it, this honor-based combat in the battlefields, is actually a good idea for both the Cabal and humanity. I know how you feel about the Cabal. Trust me, I was there too. I lost a lot of good friends when I lost my light. But we don't need to fight a war with the Cabal. That is not what our people need. What we do need is to have our enemies respect us. Maybe fear us a little, but mostly to be reminded of the true threat and work with us even from afar, even begrudgingly, against the greater enemy. Because greater enemies are coming. I know you've heard the tune. I know you know that the music will change soon, and we are heading to the crescendo very quickly. Thank you all again very much, Guardians, for tuning into this broadcast. I find Guardians and civilians to be busier than ever, so I appreciate any time you set aside for my findings. What do you think? What will happen between us and the Cabal? Will Kyle learn and leave us alone? Or should we go on the offensive, take the Empire for ourselves? Please leave your thoughts. Don't forget to set your ghost frequency to my channel so you can subscribe for more. I'll leave an automated message ping in the helm in case more Guardians are interested in joining us. As always, be safe, be kind, and I'll see you all next time. Bye now.